Okay. 1, 2. There it's going. Well, it appears that I did not follow my list. And I will reintroduce the show. And I'm going to add Kira in just a moment. So all that was for you live listeners, quite obviously. Crazy. Just a moment. And welcome to reallibertymedia.com, rlmradio.xyz, and I'm your host, Vincent Easley II. Kira Young's my guest today. Outline and examination of Standing Rock and No Dapple. So this is War on the Home Front, Force Multipliers, feedback episode +2, part 2, and we are broadcasting live. And so Kira and I have been working together as far as sharing of the information and looking at things. Kira's also a Pathfinder, and I was not recording earlier, so we missed some of that, but it was good practice, and we'll be able to come back around and touch on it again. So Kira, thanks for coming on. What I hope to do is make this like a relay here, because I find what you're doing and what Al Anthony is doing to be so very important, and I'm trying to act as the intermediary now on the bridge with you, and Hal is trying. I think what the most important lessons I find from Hal is sometimes what not to do, and look at how things are being done, and so we can see if there's kind of any trickery behind it, right? So there's not an adversarial approach here by any means, and it is me trying to facilitate and connect voices.
Well, we're dealing with the government and corporations, so obviously there's going to be some trickery. That would be standard operating procedure.
Yes, definitely trickery. So as I'll reiterate here, I want to dedicate this to Ashra, a friend of mine over in the UK. One of the people when I set out on this journey of exploration to find what it is that we're up against and what we're in. And he was one of the people that I found that was different, but like me. And a very special thank you. And she's just started using Twitter, so you can follow her along at real_Klashra, CLASH, KRA. And we're talking some also about how we are stakeholders and stockholders in a sense, and more information to cover in that. But let's go with let's outline this here. Now we can go back hundreds of years when the Dakota came onto the plains, and they had a pretty far expanse about the lands that they occupied into several states in the north up there. It was -2 at sunset last night, so we warmed up with some classic rock, warmed up for Standing Rock today. I'm going to put that list in the description after I get the archive all done up. But Kira, let's just start out and move through. People obviously occupied this land for a very long time, and they were tricked out of that possession. And so now we're down to people out there being abused by government authorities. I mean, abused, evil. And I see that there's government should never use that kind of force against people that are trespassing by occupation in protest. And that is the quintessential of what an American is. It is the American way.
Mm-hmm.
And there is two sides to it, so probably a lot more sides, I should say. That's only the stalking horses. They're out there. Somebody is probably said to make a lot of money, and so we heard that from Pink Floyd, money. But what will you tell us, Kira? And we'll follow along.
Okay. Well, as far as the pipeline goes, it was originally proposed to go through Bismarck, and the people of Bismarck said, hell no. So then Energy Transfer Partners said, I know, we'll just put it through Indian land, no problem. We always can roll over on those guys. They never fight back because they have to fill out, multiple forms in triplicate to 17 different federal agencies to, take a piss type of thing. So that's one of the things that really is annoying about an Indian.
Hey, Kara.
Mm-hmm.
You have something squeaking. I don't know what it is.
Squeaking? I'm a squeaking?
See? So, 2014, that there was a video that said that, tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, the tribe has an audio that they had recently released that, shows they vehemently objected to the
Okay. So, and there's people saying that they didn't. Now, right now, what we're at, they're saying that the Army Corps of Engineers has denied the passage of the pipeline right there. I kind of see it as a set-off, try to put people at ease and send everybody home, and then maybe sneak back in there and cover a night, or they may move it, which would be
They're still building it. They haven't stopped.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
They haven't stopped at all. And they've released a public statement saying they don't plan on stopping. They'll just take the fine because it's cheaper to take the fines than reroute.
That's the way it worked in corporate talkers.
Mm-hmm.
The little guy, spills some oil, has an oil leak on his car, might get no telling what kind of fine. And I bet you there's a federal law that exists that if you're dripping oil in a parking lot, a national park, then
right.
You're in big trouble, right? But the big corporations, that's just business.
Yeah, billions of gallons into a pristine wildlife refuge. That's fine. No problem. No problem.
Governor says you have weird cricket noises, but that'll be a salute to Hal Anthony, the crickets.
Here, I'll turn down my microphone a little bit. Blah, 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 blah. Is that better?
Seems to be.
Okay, cool.
All right. Now, I'll have to go back over to Twitter and scroll down into there. And this, the environmental impact studies and so forth like that. Now, you and Hal were talking back and forth. Can you explain that? Because for me, it is so convoluted, the systems of legalese, and there's so many crisscrossing paths, and it's purposefully made that way, I do think, to allow for the loopholes and stuff.
Right. So, well, first of all, once they decided to put through Indian land, they put it a half a mile above the reservation border itself, and then it went through treaty land, which the Army Corps of Engineers has taken over. And one thing people need to understand about Indian land, about treaty land, is that it's all in trust by the government. It does not have individual control over their land. So everything's in trust by the government, and that's why the government so easily takes over big chunks of land. So many easily takes over big chunks of land because it's already in trust to them. So it's just, for them, it's just signing a couple pieces of paper and boom, we stole more land from you. Oops.
Well, we see from the treaties of 1851, 1868, I think there was some adaptation in 1871, on through the 1900s, the early 1900s into the 1950s, and all of this was stealing a little bit more, and just a few guys who go up and sign these treaties that really the people did not consent to. So, right. I mean, it has been theft. So when we come down even to the private lands, there is, in my mind, contention of that. But
right.
it requires backtracking through everything, and it is a difficult trail to backtrack in so many senses.
By design, correct. By design, it's okay.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is it? The EIA, Environmental Impact
Statement. Yeah. That was never done.
EIS, I'm sorry.
So they plowed through, and they didn't get all the permits they were supposed to get. They didn't get the easement to go underneath the Missouri River, which is the main contention of the natives, that, hey, this is half-mile north of our water intake. The guns break. It's what they do. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we don't want water equipment. This is 18 million people, depending on this river, and plus it's over the largest aquifer.
Now that comes under jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers when it has to cross the river. Is that right?
No, it comes under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers because that's land that they took over from the Indians. So they're the ones sitting on that easement.
Audio is clipping so bad. Oh, not just me. Here, I'm sorry. Your audio is really clipping bad.
All right.
Let's try again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
On the impact studies, yes.
Okay. So the environmental impact studies were never done. It was ran through, not all the permits. They didn't get all the permits. They didn't get the easement to stop the Missouri River. The reason the Army Corps of Engineers is the one to grant that easement is because the drill will go on the Army Corps of Engineers land, which is basically treaty land that was in trust by the government, because all treaty land people have a false idea of natives, really being sovereign. It's just a their sovereignty. It's not actual real sovereignty that the tribes have, because they still have to ask the United States government for everything. Everything. They have to get permission by Congress to do anything. So it's not real sovereignty. And so this the Army Corps of Engineers is the one to grant the easement because it's Army Corps of Engineers land that the drill goes under, and that's the biggest camp of the three camps. At Standing Rock is on the Army Corps of Engineers land, which is just over the border of Standing Rock. The other two camps are within the treaty, within the reservation bonds. So that would be Sacred Stone and Chicago or Birthright camp. And they're in line. And then the biggest camp with thousands of people in it is Oceti-eeshak-oh-win or Oceti-eeshak-oh-win. That's everybody's saying right now that Dave Archimba took a payoff, but I think he actually probably agreed to tell the people to leave the big camp that's on Army Corps of Engineer land in exchange for the easement not being granted. I think that's what the deal was. I don't think he took it off, which is what people are saying.
There's a possibility that they might shift the route. Now, I'll ask a question here, but the premise that NEPA is to study, right, more towards where humans exist and bugs and rabbits and all the like. So there's a convolution how this all this study actually is and what it is. So let me ask if you can understand this. The EA, I'm not sure what it is, but Hal asked, how did it go to an EIS without an EA? And upon what hearing and evidence? Did you understand that portion of it, like an EA?
Yeah. There were several endangered species
animals. Okay.
Yeah, that were found to be in the path of this pipeline, and so some scientists got together and said, hey, there's like a butterfly and a weasel and some other crane. These endangered species are going to be affected by the pipeline. That's what the tribe has been pushing in this environmental impact statement, because that is the mechanism that they have to challenge this.
Okay.
Yeah. So they don't they can't say it's going to poison people because the law doesn't care about that. I mean, the FDA is proof of that. You can get stuff approved that kills people and then not approved that will save people's lives. So, everything's crazy. Topsy-turvy.
So there's a part of this that would set so much money, I forget how many millions of dollars, to come along for cleanups and stuff. I seen here this morning, I forget, there's been several hundred spills across the Dakota just in itself. And I have experience in pipes and in pipelines and so forth where I'm privy to the slackness in what's done. So Howlett had proposed setting, in this war, you want to set yourself up for a prevention of them coming against you in a certain way. So if it were to say, okay, well let's spend this money up front, let's better build this pipeline, and perhaps it would include great catchings, that they could easily divert any. Divert any spills to containment sections and so forth. So, as far as pre-positioning oneself in this battle, I guess would be a route to go.
I guess I don't really understand what you just said.
Well, I had a hard time saying it. Well, anyways, we'll let Hal critique the part right here and see if he can reassemble what it is I was trying to say on that point. Anyways,
okay.
I did take some short notes. Now, I did miss quite a bit here at the beginning on record, and I'm going to backtrack myself and include that and some more information. So, Kira, let's get together again. We're going to work through this together, and let's bridge the gap, and I really appreciate you. It goes back to the notes that I did skip about being in a tribe, in a group, a clan, and our singularity, and how we approach this. And,
Right on.
Okay. Thanks. I'll talk to you more later, girl.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Let me pop back over to, hey, my radio's playing over here. I probably have it on, volume all the way down on RLM Radio and chat, rlmradio.xyz. And let's see here. Wow. Thank you, Frumpy. Hi, Grams. So let me go back and let me try to re-say what I said, but I wasn't saying it to be recorded. I was trying to get back over there. But okay, let me just go. Actually, bear with me a moment, please. Maybe I can cover this back here. I'll come back. 10 more comments. Let me open them up. Oh, it's shifting on me. I'm gonna. Oh, no. Yeah. That's from. That's pretty cool. Too bad y'all hearing it. Now, something in. So, completely sidetracked again here. Scott's contracting guest on the Edge Vision with Lonnie Clark on CY.TV. That is from 10 Central every weekday. And I see Levon, she does anti-media on Friday nights on UCY. So let's see here. Now, I didn't get to include some of this into the recording, and I want to do that now. Our traditional lands are interconnected and living whole. I'm sorry, let me do that again. Our traditional lands are an interconnected and living whole, a vital cultural landscape. It is central to us as a people and to the maintenance of our identity, laws, and consequent rights. We will protect and defend our country and our connection to it. Thanks, Dave Druitt, down under, a friend. And this is, again, well, the people down, the indigenous folks down in Australia. And I want to go ahead and click that open and share it back to you over in the chat room. And it'll take me a minute to do that, and then I'll get back over here. Oh, I might not let that open up all the way. Let me try that again. Sorry about that. It didn't. So that was wrong. That was a Facebook thing. So I'll go back on. Give me the right one. There it is. Thanks, Dave Druitt. Another one of the people that I set out in my journey. I always wanted to travel the world. I did. And thanks to the internet, I've been able to go places I've never been before. So read more about that in what's the land being destroyed down there by more corporatism and greed. This from Hal Anthony, and these are the folks and how it's done. Under such an extended benefit of bias, terror, intimidation, and dread, there is no constitutional rights, no inalienable rights, no rights of man, nothing but the insult of being defined and breeded as animal, a property in commerce, a beast of burden. Hal Anthony plays right here, Sundays, 2 p.m. Central, and replays at UCY.tv, the past guest every morning, 7 a.m. Central Time. If one wishes to be a meaningful part of this movement, one should understand and accept that they are a living reflection of this movement. Every day we should strive to think, talk, and walk in balance. Being a warrior is to place the defense. Being a warrior is to place the defenseless above oneself. A warrior's first duty is to protect and defend, not to be violent. Do you have that type of strength and fortitude within you to face cowardly and terroristic government-sponsored violence against unarmed and peripheral people? Uŋpa Nuŋpa, thank you. Frequent guest from the front lines in the Dakotas on the bridge with Kira. Saturdays, from Freedom Steps Revolution Radio and simulcasting here at UCY.tv. A feedback plus two part. That's it right here. This is feedback episode 2 plus 2. I'm sorry, part 2. War on the Home Front. Force of multipliers, and with me and Kira was on stalking horses, practicing participation, stakeholders, outline and examination, standing rock and no dapple. So that's what we're looking at. Now, 7 council fires is the proper name for the people commonly known as the Sioux. The Och-et-eeshak-oh-win, meaning 7 council fires. The original Sioux tribe was made up of 7 council fires. So, Frumpy, you say I was AWOL. Yes, I've been attending other fires and of both wood and weed. So Stephen, let's cover this again. I asked Stephen came along. He's a painter, a friend of mine from Bunkerville. We spent a lot of time together talking. He's a great guy. He has a good heart, and he has some concerns here, and I see them. Says painter, I see a race we're trying to spark up in Black Lives Matter has hijacked the natives in their movement to install their hatred. They have done more than successfully push patriots away with being called the white devils and worse. Some of us, unfortunately, won't. Then I have to start shooting. Unfortunate. Yeah. First multipliers. I go back to this vision, and people come in. There's for that very purpose, and we saw it in Bunkerville. I can identify several of them. That's what we really need to look to fight against and find that where we do have our commonality. So, to all my relations, I honor you in the circle of life with me today. I am grateful for this opportunity to acknowledge you in this prayer. And there's a prayer there to the Creator and to all that makes everything all part. Where we are stakeholders, we do share a commonality, and that has to be addressed. And where a law is abrogated, that needs to be addressed as well. I shared earlier in the devolution of dog, and I think that's how it's pronounced, in the training of men. Have we domesticated the dog, or is it domesticated us? Or domesticated us? So that is terrierman.com.blogspot.com. You'll see it there. I'll include it in the links. There was more to that there. Also, last week we did. No, it wasn't last week. It was the rule of law, war betrayed. What might? I think this is from Hal. No, this is from me. Yeah. What might be expected for those declared to be enemies of the state under martial law? And that would be covered under the Lieber Code. I was working on bringing that together, and that'll come soon. And I say occupation by trespass in protest is the role of the American way. And we've got to, while we're practicing that participation, we've got to watch out for these stalking horses and false stakeholders and the Agenda 21 and the other names. So I covered that. I want to go back and make sure. Hal on the past cast this morning was talking about CRISPR. This is genetically manipulating the human species for adaptation. So, and he's certainly a psychopath, and he's admitted to that, and he sees that. And so I do get a chance to learn a lot. In this life I live in, the community that I exist in, it is kind of like a little tribe, and my council fires have been because of the return of the matriarch to this kind of inter-family. And it's been a year. I was going to leave for Oregon a year ago, but I've bought my ticket. I'm headed west. I'm going to be in Texas after the first of the year and do this westward trip. And that's coming. So finally, I've learned to listen to that still small voice. Glad I had, and my friend had been such a bone of contention is showing good positive signs, and I believe I can leave without worry. So, Liz Pearl would love you to death. She's coming to be the kind of the central authority, the matriarch, and all these loose cannons, these loose particles that are participating in this thing that we do here in life, and how we get along and don't. And when we come to odds, and this anarchy of being centralist. So, again, I won't go too deep in that. There's so much to discuss as far as the anarchical existence, and the true anarchist knows to live and not force upon another. Doesn't mean you can't repel with force. I've personally had that experience to go physical here a week or so back, and I will not. It's not my way of life to be trod upon. So I resist all force against me. And that's what I'm doing in this life right here. At least give an examination. I'm not a teacher. I'd say I'm more of a learner, and so I'm just traveling along here. I'm just your guide in my exploration of discovery. And I talked, so I want to cover this as well. I did talk about this. December 7th was Pearl Harbor Day. And so we're looking at best practices, and we, our veterans, they went to Standing Rock. These men and women that give their life and are preyed upon, unfortunately, by the very few people that are in power that make these decisions of war, and not for the interest of freedom and liberty, but in the interest of money. And that's very unfortunate that people's lives are stolen and future lives are stolen. There's been statements that soldiers are no more than dumb brutes to be cast as fodder. It's a deception. Spencer Butler spoke of a great many quotes about it being the rich man's war. And we are enemies of the state, you and I, are we not? I'm about ready to go further up, let's say. I believe I've covered, for the most part, what I had intended. And thank you, Becky. I see that you're over at the Real Liberty Media chat room. Joined in. And Vieta, thank you for your share. Juniki Laki, she's over in Malaysia listening. She's at least indicated that she liked the posting. And Lacey, my friend, she's a writer. We work together on collab. I don't say work. We've joined forces and connecting voices, and that's the things I like to do. Tell you what I'm going to do right now. You know what? I don't think I'd cover this. So from freedomsnetwork.com, make sure I got this in the recording. And we were warming up for Standing Rock with some classic music, some classic rock. That is on www.internetradio.com station Real Liberty Media, and it's Facebook friendly. Now, this is from Hans Dredd in the rlmradio.xyz chat. Thanks for your input. I'm very proud of your participation and how you are practicing that. Anything is possible if you don't know what you're talking about. Green law debate. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. Thank you, Hans Dredd. From Z Blaze, his reply, and thank you very much. Shake off all the fears or servile prejudices under which weak minds are severely crouched. I might have some problem with saying those two words together right. I'll have to look at that closely. Sorry, Z Blaze. But let me continue. Take reason firmly in her seat and call on her tribunally for every fact, every opinion. Question with boldness even the existence of a God. Because if to be one, he must approve of the homage of reason rather than that blindfolded fear. Said Thomas Jefferson. I do see where there's a commonality from the French Revolution and the American Revolution. So-called more information that has been covered on that, also from Hal and a great many others. But at the end of my life, I would rather, let me try that again. At the end of my life, what would I rather have done? How will I wish I had spent my time? And that is zombies. We encountered zombies. My book I'm writing on a zombie apocalypse. In a big zombie apocalypse. I actually hope to actually start maybe write some of it down. But it developed in my head. It's a fun place to be. So from October 23rd, I don't think I included this. October 23rd, the Passcast from Hal Anthony behind the woodshed. This is the nature of war. Your stake is at once the game and the authority and the justification. Seen so, war is the truest form of divination. It is a testing of one's will and the will of another within that larger will, which because binds them is therefore forced to select. War is the ultimate game, because war is at last the forcing of the unity of existence. War is God. McCarthy, Blood Meridian, or the evening redness in the west. I have referred to that broadcast or two that I'd done from feedback prior to that. And in this examination, the interaction that we're at, we are at war, and it's important. So we have to define how we interact in it. And that preludes, which will be feedback episode 13, which will be the last cast of this series. You've heard me say that again, but I also do, just so you know, intend a episode 13 and a half. So, and some people might get that reference of a judge and a jury, or judge, jury, and half a chance. There's some last week I went Pt.2 RLN 191. Also had some very good interjection into that on what we're looking at up there in the Dakotas. So 000 vaccination arms, sweet poison, objection or abstinence, extrajudicial invasion, government sharecroppers, faithful malfeasance, sustainable debt, tyranny, Battle of Athens, and a life by fire. So, and that. And that'd be your homework, I reckon, if I was to say, go listen to those two episodes and try to think and reason and raise some expectations through these thought-provoking episodes. As a man is haunted by the vastness of eternity, we ask ourselves, will our actions echo across the centuries? Will strangers hear our name long after we're gone? Wonder who we were, how bravely we fought, and how fiercely we loved. And this is a reminder, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Real Liberty Media. And we're almost to the 100 needed for that custom URL. And thanks, Bo Daddy, for jamming great tunes, first of all, on RLM Radio, but also for joining our team of admins over on Facebook. There's a lot of places that you can find what we got, maybe, and that's right here on our social media partner site, freedomsnetwork.com, reallibertymedia.com, rlmradio.xyz, the internet radio, and also on TuneIn. You can also follow along at SoundCloud and Speaker. And remember, what we got to say is fair use. Robbie. Now, I'll tell you what I want to do here. I hate to hit pause. I'm not even going to do it. Let me go gather Jose. Oh, it's fine. I'm going to hit the right here. And let's gather. There you are. And he's been so patiently waiting. Look. He got enough. And I'll have a drink of water. Water protectors. There you are. You've been very patient. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, all kinds of things. Mostly me being me and forgetting to do this and that. And before I forget, let me move your sort of handsome face, El Guapo, out of the way so I can keep an eye on the meters over here. How you doing, brother?
My looks are kind of distracting. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm going to pop back over to the RLM chat so I can keep up. Well, Jimmy bowed out on us, and it's just as well, and I'm going to unfollow his groups because I don't find that he's really doing any kind of positive contribution. Why would people spend so much time trolling and using obvious, trivial matters to have a discussion? The debate is a bunch of crap over there. They're not interested in a bit of truth, just propping up a narrative. So we can talk about that, and we can talk about other things. And like I said, it's just the fact of the matter, whether 9/11 was an inside job or if it went ha 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 like they said on mainstream. It matters little as far as where we are right now in society, and we're in a police state. And if you ever said, why did nobody in Germany do anything about or say anything or speak up about all the bad things going on over there, you better think about having an apology for ever even thinking that. But that's what we're doing. We're speaking up, ain't we?
Well, when we first started this little series of interviews, one of the first things I mentioned was, hey, the time to have addressed 9/11/2001 was 9/12/2001. We should have started right off the bat, asking questions, demanding of our representatives. I don't, it's kind of weird not having Jim here because now I'm going to feel like I'm attacking him without giving him a chance to rebut.
Yeah.
But the thing about truthers is, to be a truther, you have to seek the truth, not grab onto your version of what you feel safe with of the truth, and then provide supporting information for that truth. I still don't know who's responsible for 9/11. I suspect it was an inside job. And when I say that, I mean, I think individuals or elements within the government of the United States of America, various governments, I should say, participated in the planning and execution of what we now consider 9/11 or the 9/11 catastrophe. And it is not one single item or one single incident, but several that occurred that day. Some of them, I'm sure we haven't even heard about yet, right? Because
right,
kind of.
When we look at all of that, it kind of takes away from what has been proclaimed as the NIST and the official narrative of 9/11. There's a lot of questions that for me, this really disproves that official narrative.
Right, and when let's use you as an example. You've been in trouble with the law. You've kind of been bucking the system most, if not all, of your life.
Yeah. It's matter of fact, December 7th, 1980 was the day that I was convicted of sitting down in Texas as an adult, and I was half my life later when I got done with that. I a lot of lessons through life, and I did it the hard way.
Yeah, at the age of 16. So you get out of prison, and you're like, kind of bitter, but you're trying to be a changed person, right? And something goes wrong in your community, and the first thing you do is establish an alibi, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what was happening, wasn't it?
Yes. So your next door neighbor gets burglarized or something, and the first thing you do is you call up George and you say, "Hey, George, remember that night that you and I were having fun all night long?" He's like, "Yeah, I do." Okay, remember that because something happened, and I want you to remember that I was with you when that happened, so they won't accuse me. Okay, this is natural and of course intelligent. So, for the government of the United States of America, of having sacrificed its own citizens for an agenda not necessarily behooving the United States of America, but certainly behooving certain elements within the government. For example, Dick Cheney should have been, was it Dick Cheney? Yeah. Should have been at the front lines saying, hey, look, we're going to make sure that we find who did this, because I have to admit, I stand to gain a lot from this incident, and I want people to know I didn't do it. Who was the Secretary at the time, the Secretary of Defense?
Oh, my mind blanking. But it's a stash swamp, and if it got drained, the one's going to be left, and the next one is the floaters.
Well, but you see, but all the, Bush came out, Bush Jr. came out, was it the same day or the next day? He said, look, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. I mean, and right off the bat, he shut up 90% of the people who wanted to know what exactly happened. He shut them up because these 90% of the people are the ones that are not going to speak up if they have something to lose personally. You know, I read a meme or a meme, whatever you want to call them, on Facebook the other day where somebody was recalling when she was either 7 years old or in the 7th grade, I forget what it was. But she said the teacher showed them a video on how fascism works, right? And told us all to take notes. And when the video was over, she accused Jimmy of not taking notes, even though Jimmy did take notes. And when Jimmy said, I do take notes, she said, who is going to believe you, Jimmy? You need to go to the...
Well,
and so Jimmy got up. Huh?
There you're back. You just clipped out.
Okay, so the teacher is chastising Jimmy for not taking notes as he was ordered to do, but Jimmy had taken notes, and the different Jimmy, not the one we're talking about here. Anyway, so you know, Jimmy's like, but ma'am, miss, I did take notes, and a couple of students said, yes, ma'am, look, I can see his notes there, and I saw Jimmy taking notes, and yes, Jimmy always takes notes, and the teacher raised her voice and said, Jimmy, go to the principal's office right now. And so Jimmy gets up and goes to the principal's office, and everybody else shut up. Right? Mm. And then the teacher says, that's how easy it is to start a fascist regime.
It's easily done.
That's how easily it's done.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to get rich if I ever can collect on this self-imposed trademark of the word easily.
Yeah, I'm going to change my name to something.
Easily.
Well, I know I can easily do it, but what do I change my name?
Easily.
Anyway, and the point that I was trying to make with Jimmy, the Swiss, he was Switzerland, is that we hear information given to us, and we think, okay, we got the information. But unless you're an active researcher, you're only going to get the information that somebody wants you to see. And why do they want you to see it? And in the atmosphere of you're either with us or with a terrorist, you can bet there's very little accurate information out there. And as it is, most of the information that some of us from the beginning, we saw the towers go down and we said, holy crap, it's an inside job. You know, those weren't our words, our very words, because those words came later. You know, but we knew it. We knew right away. When those towers went down, I remember that morning, right? Sitting in the shack in which I was living with my younger son and a friend that I was helping, a homeless friend that I was helping at the time. And you know, he came, my friend Buck came in and said, "Hey, did you see what those ragheads did? I heard it on the radio." And he turned on the television, which he had the television in my house because I hadn't watched TV in so long. He turned it on and we watched the towers, and we watched what we thought was another plane hitting the other tower, right?
You know, I'd like to interrupt for a moment and say how, yes, Chloe sure was on, and I'll have the archive sometime this weekend. What really affected me was the deep emotion of it, the loss of all those lives, and to see those people jumping out of buildings. And I was in Vegas. Vegas has been my second home since '69. It never even struck me. Of course, I was otherwise occupied in the war against myself. All I seen was the loss of life. It never even struck me. It never occurred to me that they were imploded. And you know, hindsight, to me, is quite obvious. You know, we've never seen instances of buildings collapse like that without having initiators, force multipliers.
So you were upset. Would you feel better if you were like spark it or something?
Yeah, in three more minutes, I'm going to light a little fire right here and
we need to
repeat.
We need to synchronize our watches because I got
117. and it's about a 2-minute delay for me, and less for others, but my bandwidth is so low here. And that's probably maybe part of the clipping problem with the Skype here connection with you. And
I think you're living in the past myself, but anyway. Well, so as I was saying, we are exposed to information, only that information which someone else wants us to see. That's the biggest complaint about the mainstream media. Why isn't the mainstream media covering certain items? Well, because the mainstream media don't want you to know about it. Right? You know, it's pretty plain and simple. And when the alternative media come on, it's so outlandish. And you have to admit, you know, when you first saw, you know, somebody who's now tagged as a conspiracy theorist, when you first saw somebody post something like that, you're like, what? How can this guy even think? Wait a minute, what? Like, and I don't want to push this issue, but I want to. I'm going to mention it because of how extreme it is. Okay, there are some very intelligent people out there who have done a lot of research and have a lot of supportive documents and information. And these guys say that there were no planes that crashed into anything. Right? And when I first heard that, I was like, there's all kinds of nuts out there, you know, even within the truth is, right? And then I see the information, I was like, holy crap, this guy's got a good argument, right? And it was not because I'm so easily swayed, but because the information was viable. You know, some very high-ranking professor lost his position because his administrators were pressured to shut him up. Okay, so he lost his position. He went on touring. He probably made more money touring than he did as a professor anyway. You know, so they actually the effect was opposite. He figured out a way to.
We interrupt this program for a report from the Buzz Diva. It is 4:20 somewhere. A lot of them. If you got them.
I did give you a lighter just to spark it.
Oh. That's some good stuff right here. It's a shame legalized marijuana, all that entails, and really, it's a convolution of cannabinoids. And this is a 412 report from the Buzz Beaver. And a new word for many, medical exiles. A girl down in Texas has had to flee to be able to use CBD oils to stop her seizures. Wow.
But it's in the works. To deviate from the topic at hand, there are several groups in Texas who are finally joining forces to have at least medical marijuana or medical cannabis legalized in the state of Texas. And I knew it was a state. I remember. Do you remember my dream 3 years ago where I posted that I dreamed people were planting seeds everywhere?
Yeah, I do remember.
And
Johnny Pot seed, I called them.
Yeah. See, and in my dream, like I said, people were, going to City Hall and just tossing a handful of hemp seeds into the flower bed there, and then the weeds were growing. The police station, everywhere. Most cities have an ordinance where any business has to have X amount of the property growing, plants or vegetation, right? And so you go by there and just kick some seed and let nature take its course, right? Most of them won't germinate, but one or two will. And in my dream, this happened in December, and by February, these weeds were overgrowing. Literally, the world was overgrown with weed again, the way it was 100 years ago, right? Now you say 100 years ago to the younger generation, and they think it's a long time. But for those of us who were over 50, 100 years ago is not that long ago.
Right. I mean, yeah, in retrospect, for sure.
And of course the European, the white European.
You said European. Now I gotta go. Oh, trigger word. I'm triggered.
You gotta keep a jar handy. But anyway.
Hey, well, actually, let me mute my mic for a second. I'm not kidding. I'll be right back. Take it away. Let's say.
Okay. The white European tendency to slash and burn is long established. It was one of the first things they did when they first arrived on this land that we now call America, or the Americas. Specifically, the Europeans wanted the local natives, to buy into their sugar industry, and the natives were not that big in sugar. Most natives, found their, took care of the sugar pigs with fruits. In particular, some used what is now called stevia. It was kahi back then, which means sweet leaf, and they would get these leaves that are naturally sweet with 0 calories, and they would either chew on them or crush them over a big tlaxcaltin-looking item, or a tortilla, which the gringos think is the right name, but it's not, and eat it. What happened is the priests would make a big cake out of tlaxcaltin in the shape of a man, and then sprinkle it with kahi, or sweet leaf, and then cut the heart out of this cake and eat it, symbolic of a human sacrifice. And the white Christians went all freaky and, oh look, they're still practicing human sacrifices. It's this kahi. It's kahi that's making them want to worship the devil. So the Europeans performed the first.
I come right back in time for another European, but I did fill my water glass.
Okay. They proceeded with the first documented slash and burn, and they got rid of all the stevia they could. But of course, stevia was, grew wild, so it's still out there, right? Because mostly the Europeans wanted to figure out a way to stop the natives from using their natural low-calorie or zero-calorie sweetener and buy their sugar products, because that's what colonialism does. Takes over land, forces the people to do business with the motherland, and that way the motherland gets all the money, which is a whole other argument. But anyway,
let me interrupt with. Let me add this from the chat. So, talking about the planes, there's definitely a lot of information, and it was some of the parameters that I had set forth over in the that 9/11 debate, whatever you wanted to call it. Anyways, about plane parts and this and that, because what do we got? There's evidence that these planes were set down at airport up, where was it, up north up there? Somebody else, I don't remember. But these planes, so there appears to be that perhaps they were remotely operated and flew in there and perhaps modified. And Frumpy, I agree, that'd be about my opinion as well. And Beth points out, very good, I think, that in her opinion, mine as well, that the first one was definitely a missile. It's not a bullet, but when I saw it first, the second one, well, that may have been a camo plane or another kind of foolery. Too many people saw it with their own eyes, and in the high rises for it to be TV. I don't agree with this, this projection or whatever. There's all types of stuff out about holographic projections. Who knows what really happened? But the towers did fall down, and the result is the homeland having taken more power for this fascist state that we find ourselves in. And very good point as well that these guys walking around in suits picking up parts. What the hey? Let's see. Planted nut jobs in the conspiracy theorist camps. Very good. Yeah, let's not fall prey to outrageous conspiracy theorists. So when the real truthers come out, they can lump them in with their nuts and get audience to discount both. That's a very, very good point. So, and that's what we do as an examination. And Jose pointed out very well, and when he started that point, I think. So let me uninterrupt you, Jose, and hand you back, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get back. Like I said, I didn't want the plane theory a big deal. The fact is the towers went down, unprecedented, ever. Not only did we lose. I'm look at the odds. Let's talk to a statistician. What are the odds of one tower going down because of plane wrecked into it? And then what are the odds of two towers going down because two planes wrecked into them? And then what are the odds of three towers going down? All in the same day. And like I said, the big question with truth is we have unanswered questions, and it's not that the questions are not being answered. It's that those that can answer them are avoiding answering the questions, and that only adds to the suspicion. It's too late to even talk about this anymore. It's like talking about Pearl Harbor, which, by the way, we just passed the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And it was overshadowed by the anniversary of Vincent being prosecuted, because everybody paid more attention to that than the anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
Right. Your volume's really going down, Jose.
Okay, let me see if I can get this mic a little bit closer, because I'm wearing one of those silly headset things. Okay, anyway, so we look back in retrospect. Now, in the United States, within the United States government, the ruling administration has the power to classify information to keep their operations secret. One, I think that should be removed. I don't think any government should operate in secret from its citizenry. Obama came in promising a more transparent government, and he ended up being like the most secretive ever, which is kind of ironic, but fitting as far as candidate, the differences between a candidate and a president. Anyway, the items that are classified during an administration are supposed to be declassified within 12 years, I believe. Although that may have already changed, because of all these.
There's some that's like 50 years or even more, 75 or more years. It's definitely these, hiding them. That's what they're doing, till the life of the people involved are dead. It's like
right.
It's a protection of the criminal.
Exactly, and that is why I think it should be removed, because it is designed specifically to protect a potential criminal. Nothing that a government can do should have to be secretive, especially if it's for the good of national security or whatever.
Especially when it comes to killing millions of people, causing them to be killed.
Yeah, regardless of where those people are. If you're killing your own citizens, or you're killing citizens of another nation, the world needs to know what the hell's going on. And the problem we have here in the United States is that we think we are holier than thou to everybody else. We think that we're only out there trying to help other nations and so on and so forth. When the furthest, the nothing could be further from the truth, right? And it didn't start, in the early 1900s with the Banana Republic invasions and the United States overthrowing democratically elected officials in other countries in order to place, commerce beneficial to American-based corporations. It didn't start there. It started long before. I've had guys who contacted me saying, "Hey, the American Revolution was a big scheme designed to make money." And I look back and I'm like, wow, when you look at it from that angle, it's true, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I hold that the American Revolution is a misnomer. It was not a revolution. It was a coup d'etat. It was just a changing of the head.
Absolutely.
A bunch of rich guys living in the colonies fired the king and took over themselves.
And the peace treaty, it was not, America was not declared the winner. We had to pay reparations, and it's opinionated that are still doing so through the IRS. That collection goes to the Crown. And we do know that the Queen's Council represent places of power, seats of decision here in the Americas, and that there is they're traitors if they claim to be American, and dual citizenship and so many other things. But the Bar Association set some rules in, through all that they did that they hobble us and prevent us from having what it is we have,
Yeah. See, and right there, I was having trouble hearing you because I was putting on my tinfoil hat. Because what you say reminds me so much of somebody just telling you, where do you get this on? This is nonsense. We're a free country. Well, that's just another supporting topic for my saying that white people in the United States of America are the most brainwashed people in the history of the world. We still think we're free, okay? We think we're free all the way to the tax office, we think we're free all the way to the driver's license bureau. We think we're free all the way to the marriage license, to the county clerk's office to buy a marriage license.
And that was set up to stop interracial, as it's called, marriage.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, we have probably the poorest history of how we treat Americans, how we treat our citizens. And I hate to use the word citizen because I know there's guys out there in the chat room and guys just listening that know that the word citizen is just another word for slave, and we think it means something else. And this is the whole thing, that when you're speaking legalese, you're speaking a different language. When I was fighting my ticket in court, I was using regular language, and the prosecuting attorney was using legalese, knowing that the jury didn't know the difference between legalese and regular language. And whenever he would speak, I would clarify it to the jury, and the prosecutor did not object. He didn't deny what I was saying, which kind of proves in court that he was speaking a different language purposely to mislead the jury. Anyway, we get the information that they want us to see, and one thing I wanted to ask Jimmy, back to the 9/11 thing. If a group, not just one, and not just an individual, but let's say 5 men together and went to Russia, and then spoke up when they're safe in Russia and said, "Hey, we orchestrated the 9/11 catastrophe."
Yeah, I don't think they'd be safe in Russia either. They'd probably be more easily killed in Russia than perhaps America. It's easier to hide in plain sight.
Well, true. But right now I'm using Russia because we have this thing going with Putin, in that he seems to be more honest than anybody we've ever.
Well, that's the perception, and that comes from, of course, the propaganda that is more or less reinforced out of Russian TV.
Right. But I'm only.
But let me interrupt you one more time, to point to Bear. On hiding in plain sight, and then I know I'm just derailing you here off this, but I just felt like I had to. So during my time after that 1980 December 7th, my day, I went on the run in, let's see, in the 80s, 85. So I ran for about 4 years, and anyway, I turned myself in later on. We did a little time, but that's how I had a short haircut, looked like a regular guy, work clothes, going to from work, even after being stopped in California by police out there, and being patted down, I did all the right moves, and filled the wallet in my back pocket and money in my front pocket, and You know, I was all compliant and everything, and away I go. So hiding in plain sight, I don't think he'd get away with it now. And with the future, you know, getting everybody's DNA, you're not going to run anywhere. And it is for total world domination that we're fighting here, that the war is upon us. So I'm sorry, Jose, I'll give it back to you. I had to interrupt.
And you see, when you say things like that, you know, world domination, that's the stuff of movies, you know? I mean, and people are like, oh, what are you, crazy? Nobody wants to rule the world. You know, what are you going to do with the world anyway? But it's there, and it's not ruling the world as in everybody will be under my thumb, everybody will do what I do. It's because they want control so that they can have the power and the money, even though money doesn't even exist. We don't want to even go to that angle. But what I'm trying to say is, I wanted to ask Jimmy, you know, let's say a group of 5 guys come up, confess, and say, hey, we orchestrated 9/11. Would all these conspiracy theory deniers, is that going to be a term now? Right?
That's a good one, yeah. I like it. Let's start a group.
Yeah.
Will
they accept that, or are they going to say, "Oh, that's just a bunch of guys who are trying to you know, fool you. There's no conspiracy theory." You know,
I want to do it.
How do you?
I want to do it, and I want to go in and say stuff like "You're stupid." Yes. That's all I'm gonna. That's all the responses I'll have for them.
You know, and you know, we have it all the time. You know, CIA agents come out and admit that. Where was the outrage when CIA agents admitted that they were flying in drugs from South America to the United States to sell in L.A. and in ghettos?
Come on now. To be fair, you've got to get that money for black operations somewhere, okay?
Yeah. But you know, CIA agents came out, you know, they were whistleblowers, and I bet you can't name one of them. I can't.
I guess I can't either. And if I could, I'd bet you he wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, but even if they are alive, the CIA will say, just let this guy talk. Let him go out there. Nobody's going to believe him anyway, because
he's crazy.
Yeah, what the hell? What do you mean the CIA? The CIA is here to protect us, not to hurt us. You know?
Yeah, and he's trying to tell people, and all they're hearing is, I say, boy, pay attention to me. I'm trying to talk to you. Don't you know it's for your own good?
And it reminds me of the China Syndrome. You remember that old movie?
Yeah.
China Syndrome. Jack Lemmon, you know, where he was, you know, one of the managers of this nuclear power plant. And
I haven't seen that since 1970-something, probably, or 80, whatever.
Yeah. But you'll remember Jack Lemmon's portrayal where he finally, you know, he gets a gun. He holds the place.
Whoops, you clipped.
I want
there you are.
to tell the public what's going on. And then when he finally gets a chance to talk, he babbles on like a fool because there's so much information that he's got to get out to the people. He just sounds crazy. And then they kill him. Right? They send in the SWAT team, and they kill him, and he goes off as just another babbling fool that went crazy and held the nuclear power plant, you know, hostage. And at the end, they interview like his best friend, which is an old guy with a big scruffy mustache, and they say, you know, what do you think? Was your friend crazy? He says, the friend says, well, I don't know exactly what happened here, but I'll tell you what, I don't think he was crazy. I'll tell you that. Right? But who's going to listen to him? He's just a friend of a crazy guy, right? So they let him live. Okay, remember, I grew up in a drive-in theater, so I watched all these movies as a kid and as a young adult. And I'm thinking, when the towers are going down, I'm not thinking, wow, terrorists attacked the towers. I'm thinking, oh my God, they did it again. They being somebody in the government. And now I'm not anti-government. I'm 100% government. I am not an anarchist. Okay? Although a lot of my friends are anarchists. Okay? I believe...
I'm anarchy. I'm an Oklahoma in.
Okay, I believe we do have to have rules. I know anarchist means no rulers, and that's the problem that I have with...
Hold out your hand. Hold out your hand. You have your hand out? Oh, where's my ruler? Here.
Anyway, no rulers. You ever been hit by a ruler? You ever been hit by a 12-inch rule? You be anti-rulers too.
Wow.
But anyway, I do believe, because I am Mexicano of origin. Okay, Mexicanos historically, and I'm talking about pre-Columbus days. Historically, Mexicanos have great faith in our elected officials, because our elected officials were elected to, quote, take care of the public, unquote. Unlike what the dominant majority seems to think, that our elected officials' job is not to take care of the government. If our elected officials' job is not to take care of the government, what is their job? Anyway, so therefore,
Yep, you flipped.
Mexicanos are the first ones to get screwed, by our government.
Oh boy, that's far beyond my scope. But I just remember back in the last half of the '80s, going into the frontera down in Tijuana and down in Ensenada, Mexicali, and later on into Juarez. But the government back in the '80s, the pre and PAN parties there, the government has always been really, really corrupt in Mexico.
And well, you already said it's kind of beyond your scope, but I want to point out one thing here, though. The government in Mexico now, in post-Columbian era, right?
Yeah, is
not cultural Mexicano. It is cultural European. Okay.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
And people are like, the racist white supremacists in the United States are like, go back. Why don't you go back and fix your own country? Well, because Mexico is being run by the same people that run the United States.
That's right, absolutely. And with a little different shade tint. Again, let me interrupt real quick. Beth, what year is this article? I see October 25th, but it says copyrighted in 1999 at the very bottom. So what is this? This can't be pre-9/11. So if you'll clarify for that on golfer Payne Stewart dies, please. Thank you. And I'm back to chat now, and back to you.
Back to me. Well, I'm trying to connect the big picture. I know I'm running out of time. We're going to have to continue this maybe next month or something. But what I'm saying is, Mexicanos have a lot of faith in the system, because traditionally the system, elected officials were elected to protect and to provide for the populace. Okay, there's actually a documented case from the Mexica tribe, which is, misinformed people call them the Aztecs. Okay, where a rich man, a poor man sued a rich man, and the rich man bribed the judge, and the judge ruled against the poor man. Well, the poor man went to the elected official, right, and said, "Hey, look, how can I get justice if the judge is going to take a bribe from the rich man, where I can't bribe the judge?" And then the elected official did his investigation and found that the judge did take a bribe and executed him right then and there, right?
Wow.
Because he violated the public trust. Now, this is where Mexicanos have this great faith in our government elected officials, because we believe they're going to look out for our best interest. This is our history, okay? And this is why there's so much corruption in Mexico right now, because the faith of the Mexicano is to believe that they can't be corrupt. They've got to look out for our own well-being. And if they're being corrupt, it's for the good of the people in the long term. And it's a way that they believe. But the Mexicanos are not fooled. They're starting to rise up now in Mexico, where I'm saying that white European descendants in the United States are brainwashed. I mean, it's in your face here. You are told that something is because this is how it is, but the facts don't back it up. Okay, and you tend to believe things because that's the way it's always been, as opposed to a tradition of, hey, this is where. Hold on, a lot. You tend to believe things because they've always seemed to have been that way, as opposed to the evidence. Because the United States has never been free, and yet people out there still think we're free. Okay, and then you tend to believe that, well, there's no perfect system. Every system is going to have its flaws, and so what if in our system blacks and Hispanics are the ones who suffer? Well, there can be a perfect system if you stop thinking that way. You start demanding that everyone be treated equally. Anyway, so it's not difficult to pull the 9/11 wool over the dominant majority, even though I'm glad to see that a lot of people are starting to wake up and see, hey, wait a minute, you admit, hey, I saw the towers go down, and I said, oh my God, those, they brought the towers down, like my Green friend said. Did you see what the ragheads did on the day, on September 11th, the morning of September 11th, 2001? My gringo roommate came in from running an errand and said, did you see what those ragheads did? How the hell did he know it was, quote, the ragheads?
Somebody told them.
Yeah, exactly.
I updated our show information here. So this is now live. José M. Gonzalez is my guest. This feedback episode +2, part 2, War on the Home Front, Force Multipliers. So we're broadcasting live at Real Liberty Media on RLMradio.xyz and all the other fine places. Stalking horse, practicing participation, stakeholders, an outline and examination of life post 9/11. So we'll continue now.
So I'm trying to establish why it is that so many people believe that 9/11 was perpetrated by literally cavemen, right? And not only perpetrated, but planned and accomplished. And when you think about it, it's an oxymoron, because we're trying to say, these people in the Middle East, they're living in the past. They're still 1,000 years behind in technology, and if it weren't for us white people, they'd still be living in caves, and it's us that give them the technology to be living in. These people are dumb. They're low IQ, but yet they were able to do this. You can't have it both ways. Either these people are incapable of tying their own shoes, or they are equal to us. And you can't have it both ways. You can't have believe that these people are undeserving of life, and therefore we can go in there and bomb their countries one at a time until we can just skim the oil off the top of their sand, right? Because that's all they're good for. And then at the same time expect us to believe that they were able to orchestrate the biggest catastrophe, or the biggest, quote, attack, unquote, on U.S. soil in the history of the United States of America. Okay? And nobody got blamed for it. Nobody got fired for letting this happen. Nobody got fired for failing to do their job security-wise. You know, they came up with a good thing. Yeah, we had war games going on, so things were confused. It's nobody's fault. You know, 3,000 people died allegedly. So, but you know, it's none of our fault. So all we need to do now is increase our budget. You know, if we had a bigger budget, we would have been able to prevent this. You know, so they get their bigger budget, which, by the way, you know, falls right into the follow the money theory. And of course, there's all kinds of other facts that come into question, like, you know, setting up a building. Unless a building is already set up for implosion, they had to have worked for months ahead of time to set up the buildings, the Twin Towers and Building 7 for implosion, and that would have required a lot of breach in security, or somebody working in a position to where this was possible to accomplish without bringing question.
Absolutely, and what we get is a lot of result from that, and from chat following along. I'd say with this line of thought, pretty good. Where'd it go? My thing froze up. But anyways, TNAC, the new American Pearl Harbor. We got the Patriot Act come out of it, and you know, following the money, the theft there, and I think that was from Katie Trossel. Now everything's jumping, but yeah, the bankster heists going on there as well, right?
Yeah, and then somebody keeps posting that on September 10th, 2001, Rumsfeld, that was the Secretary of State's name, right? Announced that several $1 trillion were missing from the Pentagon. Right?
Right, the day before, huh?
Yeah, and heads were going to roll. We're going to find out who took this money, where it went, and heads are going to roll. And, well, what happened to that? No heads rolled because 9/11 happened. Right?
Did that missile obviously was not a plane that hit Pentagon? Obvious missile, and didn't it hit right there where the investigation was going on a bunch of that stuff?
Yeah, and the Building 7 was where the IRS had one of their main offices, and all the other records were burned because they weren't smart enough to back them up electronically. But whether planes hit the buildings, whether planes were involved in the 9/11 catastrophe, we still have to question how did it come to happen without coordination from people within some kind of governmental entity.
Absolutely, all types of collusion. So let me clarify that. To Trossel, they needed a great distraction from the great banker theft once they gutted Glass-Steagall. And then, Rob, thank you. The great bankster theft has been going on for over 100 years, certainly since 1913, and it really took its power there. And now I can scroll that down and kept jumping on me. Okay, so I'm back caught up in chat. And back to you.
Sure enough. Anyway, so these are the questions that need answering, and it's the fact that they don't get answered that raises suspicion. And then a new president is elected, and nothing happens to the violators of the old administration. Yes, we have a tradition of switching power in the United States without violence, but we also have a tradition of not holding the previous administration accountable. When Obama was elected, some of us thought, all right, now here's a guy who's going to come in and bring war crime charges against the previous administrators because it's obvious these people are guilty of war crimes. And what happens? Just more of the same. And Obama, I think on his inaugural speech, he said, let's not waste our time looking at the past, but let's look towards the future, right? Basically, he said, we're going to let these guys get away with it. There are countries where former President Bush and Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld will not travel to because they will be arrested. Okay, what makes them any different from Hitler? And remember my stand on Hitler. The worst thing Hitler did was lose the war, because had he won the war, we would be reading history books written by him, written by people that were pro-Hitler, and considering him a hero.
Yeah. Well, you've got some listeners right now that would tell you that Hitler was right.
Well, yeah, Hitler used the United States of America as a model of how to establish his way of doing. By the way, Hitler actually did. If you really study the history of Hitler, Hitler did very little. He was not this horrible man who issued, death warrants on people. All his way of operating was to let those under him do what they wanted to do. So Hitler did not give an order to. Well, somebody may prove me wrong, but Hitler didn't spend all day writing these decrees that the Jewish had to die and that the concentration camps had to be built. He didn't do all this. He just allowed it to happen without interfering, which kind of reminds you of what Obama did, right? Obama didn't do anything against what am I saying? Obama didn't support what Bush did in his administration. He just allowed it to happen without Bush being punished. Okay? Bush didn't do anything to support what Clinton did, because Clinton had some atrocities under his belt, right? Bush didn't do anything to support that. He just allowed it to happen by not punishing Clinton when Bush was elected. This is how it happens. Well, it turns out they're all family anyway. They're all related. right? Now we know that nobody really gets elected. Maybe Trump is the exception to the rule. Why didn't Hillary get elected? Well, maybe she's only family by marriage. So why were they going to assign her? There's a big outrage on the election, and how dare the United States of America elect Trump? And I'm thinking, this is one of the rare ones. I predict that Trump's not going to make it all the way through his term. Either he's going to die one way or the other, or he's going to get impeached. He's already an old man, so I'm not suggesting that he's going to be assassinated, although that certainly is a possibility, right?
Heart attack.
Yeah, heart attack.
Or him and Bill Clinton will go into a they'll not like crash together. Yeah, on the way to pick up pizza.
And then it'll on a plane, and then the plane's going to crash.
Oh my! Wait a minute, Kira. Oh, I wish you had been listening. No, Stephen Brooks has been on the lines right up there, for sure. Yeah, Painter's he's a hero in my book. So that I'm sorry that ad hominem right there should be retracted.
Oh,
because I know Stephen personally.
I know you're speaking to the
on
chat
Facebook.
group.
No, that's on Facebook on all the posts that I put in there.
Okay. Well, because the average listener is wondering, if you kind of took a little bit too much there an hour ago, but because I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Well, maybe you didn't hear anything either. Wait a minute. Okay. I'm going to give you back my. I'm going to respond to that. So go ahead.
Okay. Back to the topic, and you raised the ad hominem, and I want to go back to Jimmy, and I have mentioned. I feel kind of weird because I feel like I'm attacking him without giving him the opportunity for rebuttal. But I went into his group, and and I posted, hey, I've been reading some posts and watching some videos, and it seemed to me like this group is more about attacking the person than it is about spreading the information.
Yeah, absolutely.
and the first thing that happened is I got attacked. Right? And I'm like, what the, what? Thanks for proving my point. Anyway, it ended up being a big mess, and they kept insisting that I provide proof, and I'm like, this post is not about providing proof. This post is about establishing that this group attacks people as opposed to attacking the issue, and then Jimmy came on and came on a separate post and said, hey, nobody attacked Jose. Let Jose provide the information, the proof that to support his argument, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I said, what makes you think that I what have I ever said that makes you think that I believe 9/11?
Yep, I see that one. There's a lot I didn't see. They're so busy posting derp. And so Jimmy said that he was coming on when I asked him, and I said, why? Because of Jose. And I said, I think it's your decision, because of you. But I'm real fine with that, matter of fact, because it is a bunch of derp. That's all they are over there. Not even intelligent, not one little bit. Maybe so intelligent that they use these rules of debate vaguely. That there's not any interest in discussion or discernment. So I thought it was important to waste some time. I really did, just to show how ridiculous it was.
Yeah. Well, and just so you know, you did draft me into the group twice. I appreciate it. I watched a lot of those videos. I read a lot of the information. I hate reading. I really hate reading because it's such a slow reader and it takes so much time. And I'm stuck, reading on the screen as opposed to being able to get a book and go, walk around the yard and stuff like this. But anyway, I watched a lot of the information. I can see where their information can be construed and can mislead. But there are still too many questions. And when you get the truth, there are no more questions. Right? That's the whole thing. You answer a question with the truth, and that's it. There's no more deviation. Although there can be different versions of the truth, right? Because we all see things from a different angle. Some people may have more information available to them than others. The passenger in a rollover pickup truck sees things a lot differently from the driver of that same pickup truck as the person who sees it from the top of the hill. They tell their stories differently. Is one of them lying? No, they're all telling the truth. They just saw it from different angles, and that's what we have to take under consideration here. That the guys who formulate opinions based on what they see on the camera, did they really see it? And was it real? And the movie Running Man demonstrated way back in there. I think it was the early '90s. Don't quote me on that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but in that movie they manipulated a video to make it look like the character Arnold was playing said and did something totally different from what he actually did. And I thought, wow, someday the video is going to be able to be manipulated. How will we ever know what the truth is if people base it on the truth? But here we are, 15 years later. Does it really matter what happened on 9/11 anymore? We're not going to do anything about it. We didn't do anything about it in 9/12. So what are we going to do now? Are we just shooting in the dark, whistling Dixie? What's the point? We're never going to convince anybody, that our truth is the one that holds more water. I think we need to just sweep it under the rug already, like we did Pearl Harbor, like we did the Tonkin Bay incident, like we've done the JFK assassination. We're ants, and the people who think they have power over us do, because we are ants. You step on us in one area, and the survivors, kind of gather around to a different area. We carry on with our daily lives, our daily routine, regardless of whether 9/11 was an inside job or not. We still have to wake up in the morning, pull up our pants, tie our shoes, or Velcro on for those of us with lesser intellect, and we still have to, mow our own lawns and prepare our own lunches or go eat fast food or whatever the case might be. It does not affect us on a day-to-day basis, except that maybe we lose a little bit of our freedoms that we thought we had. We certainly have lost a lot. And when you use words like patriot, because the biggest thing that came out of 9/11 was a Patriot Act. You use the word patriot. What is a patriot? I was in the Army. We took an oath to protect the United States of America and the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, what is a domestic enemy? Now, I know anybody who attacks our land from a different country is an enemy, foreign, or a foreign enemy. What's a domestic enemy? Isn't that just a rivaling political party? And does it matter? Does that mean that whatever party is in current power is actually the one that we need to support, and everybody else is an enemy domestic? We're using the word patriot as if only the way we think is patriotic.
Yeah. And you know what? That brings really close to this right now. That's happening over here, and I want to be sure to make a definite clarification and to say that we are all enemies of the state. And the way that war works is they get in their behind lines and infiltrate. It's not a traditional where you're back where they'd have uniforms and stand in lines, and then on to the more modernized and better war with bombs that kill billions of people or have the potential, at least to this day, and have killed millions. That what Stephen is saying, he has a view, he sees that there is an interaction there, and there will be factions in all these wars, and part of them are purposeful, others are prejudiced. So the racial tension is going to be used wherever it can. There's going to be that another type of initiation would cause people to commit violent acts. So remember what Uŋpa said. Remember what he said about being a warrior. Stephen is that warrior. He's frustrated. I know the camp that he stands in. For me, I have some contention with some of the ideology there, but that's okay, because I also see where we have that same similarity. And Painter went to head up there. I don't know if he made it. I posed the question, what if I were to go up to head north up to the Dakotas? And a lot of people responded there. Mostly it was go and record it, but this is being done. People are doing that. What could I add to me being there beyond a personal gain for myself? We've got to remember where we're divided. It's purposeful. So I know it's hard to communicate, almost impossible for me to do so. Obviously, by type, I do a good typo taco, I guess. So I just can't say enough. And you know what? I'll say why I like so much, because you and I are so much alike, and where we're supposed difference. It's not really a problem for either of us. I like to make example, and I think like sometimes things there are people hear from you are not fully understood, or perhaps the intent. So we're all that way. And when these people here that I'm bringing together in these connected voices, Hal Anthony, Kira Young, Stephen, the hero. I stood with Stephen in Bunkerville, and he stood in that gap, the front lines, despite his fear, as did many hundreds of people and hundreds of people in the Dakotas now. We have to stand for what's right and forget the division. And when we see these people come in with this division, point them out. I was on watch. I stood guard. I watched for these people, and I pointed them out when I was in Bunkerville. I see them. I see them in the media, the so-called obvious mainstream, the clap. Thank you, Beth, for introducing me to that word about mainstream media. That's our duty here, right? What is our stakeholders as stakeholders in this world, in the world that we're going to leave behind. So please try to find that which is right in the other.
Yeah.
And point out. But remember, when you're pointing, you got 3 more fingers pointing back. So there's a lot of stuff when we're pointing that we're trying to distract ourselves even. So anyways, come on, Jose.
Well, yeah, we have to think. We have to leave a legacy of freedom of speech, and I want to be quoting the Constitution. But we have to encourage the next generation to take up the banner and say, yes, look, these guys spoke up long ago when they had nothing to gain. You know, we're in our 50s, okay? If worse comes to worse, we're going to live another couple of years. You know, why should we go out there and speak up? You know, when we could just live comfortably for the rest of our life. Most of these things aren't going to affect us directly. They're going to affect the next generation, right?
That's right.
You go protest, and it's not a bunch of 60-year-old people. Yeah, there's some older folks out there, but it's the young people who are out there speaking up. You know, they're the ones that are standing up and saying, "Hey, you know, this is wrong. This is wrong." They're doing it because some of us did it and paved the way for them to be able to continue to do it. Not that everybody that protests is in the right, but they certainly have the right to
Absolutely.
protest. Right?
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, and we always reserve the right to say, "Oops, I was wrong." You know, look at all these people.
More people should.
More people should. Look at all these people that protested desegregation. All these people that were vicious and hateful and you know, yelling and spitting at a what was she, a 10-year-old little girl, you know, going to school in a white school, 10-year-old little black girl. How wrong do those people feel now? You know, do they look back and say, "Wow, I was really out of control. That was wrong of me to take it out on that little girl." You know, whether these people were right or not in their mind, what blame did that little girl have? You know, to terrorize a little girl. You know, the teachers that refused to teach that, I forget the little girl's name, and I should have written it down. You know, they refused to teach that black little girl, to where the black little girl stood in a classroom by herself with one teacher willing to teach her. How wrong do those teachers feel now? You know, did they ever, at some point, pull a governor? Oh, what was the name? Governor of Alabama. What's the guy's name?
I don't think so.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're from there.
Yeah. All us Southerners talk about.
Yeah, you're all alike. You're all the same. What was his name? The mean governor.
Hey, here's a good one. Here's something I didn't know. You can think right there just for a minute and think of his name. I know there was an Easley governor in North Carolina. It might have been South Carolina for all I know, but maybe I'm talking like I'm from Georgia, you know. So here's something I did not know, and this is for you from Governor. The Patriot Act, and point to bear with contention, has nothing to do with being a patriot. So the word patriot is convoluted. But, whatever that means, it is an acronym, and this is part I did not know. Providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism, maybe to interpret ongoing terrorism perpetrated by, those people. Oh, they all got a lot of names, and they can all be pointed out, but that is a system. You remember his name?
George Wallace.
Wallace, yes, of course. Wasn't he like the Great White Hope or something?
The Great White Hater, and he was disgusting, and he you know who he was? He was Donald Trump. Okay? But in his later days in life, he apologized to all the black folks and said, you know what? I really don't hate black folks. I only did it because of politics. I only did it because white folks were voting to elect me when I spoke this way. And he cried, and he was formally forgiven by a lot of black, leaders in the black communities, right?
Did he go hang himself after he did his mission?
Oh, you're thinking of
did he go lynch? Did he go lynch himself? I mean, would that make really, really sure? Did he lynch himself?
It would have been
in a black face. How about that? Oh, that would be so.
It would have been a Hollywood version. No, and basically, there's actually a movie put out which has pretty good details. He had a servant, a black man that he paid for all his life to push basically George Wallace around. He was an assassination attempt that he ended up wheelchair bound, and so his servant pushed him around in a wheelchair. He would go make hate speeches, and the servant was the black man was the one pushing him, and that was his best friend. And I hate to say it, the old cliche, some of my best friends are black or whatever, right? The servant, later on was interviewed, and he said, it was my job, and he was my friend, and I knew that Mr. Wallace was as hateful as everybody thought he was.
Well, I got lots of mixed-skin friends.
Yeah.
So, hey, let's wrap it up. We're going to come 20 past the hour. It is 4:20 in just about a minute or so. And let this be the final report from today from the Busby with the California Report. Saying cannabis can. Say goodbye, Jose. And I appreciate you coming on. Thanks. You don't know that guy, do you?
Thanks for allowing me to express my opinion. I love you, man.
I love you too, brother. All right, I will sign off. Hasta pronto, huh?
Hasta la vista.
Hurry up. Yeah, I'm gonna sign off. Hey, tonight, this is Friday, Spreaker Friday. Every Friday, you're fine. Getting there, blasting off in a rocket chair, and then 8-Tracks comes along. Not 8-Tracks, not real, but the real 8-Tracks. It's gonna be playing some music. Followed by the Freaker Doll, y'all. We've been there, news girl. And I'd like to say, thank you, Jules. This morning you were talking about this fake news business, and we've got some great sources. We really do. And I've gone far and wide. I've looked at so much, and I think I pulled it down pretty good to where I've got a pretty good little cauldron of all that what is in this world and what I've looked at. Of course, I don't have it all figured out, don't plan to, but keep on learning. And so continuing lessons are Sunday, but tomorrow Kira's going to be on here at 3 p.m. Central Time, in her time in the world. Thank you, Grimmer. It's 4 p.m. Eastern. So tune in because she keeps standing on the bridge and bringing us folks from the front lines up there in the Dakotas. It was -2 degrees last night when the sun was setting. Man, can you imagine? Well, I guess they live up there, but their ancestors certainly lived like that. But this is a different world, so it's still hard. Even in modern conveniences, it's hard. People are standing and they're taking a stand. They're making they're a part of what matters, and it is worldwide. And thanks for everybody that has contributed, not only to this broadcast, but to my continuing education as well. So, yeah, Hal will be on then Sunday at 2 Central. That's noon o'clock Pacific. And for all y'all out there on the left coast. And Grimner's blowing blues before that, about 3 hours beforehand. And I got that going, the music, and I also listen to Ron over at UCY for Rock the Boat at the same time. So the blues kind of covers some of that blue stuff that Ron up there in Kazakhstan was talking about. And remember, don't be a zombie. I'd like to thank y'all again for listening. And come on back over here for y'all downstream. But I'm going to kill it. I'm going to shut this off here. And wait a minute. I did.